Good evening, Facebook. Today is Tuesday, June 9th, and this is Off the Plate, presented by Young Gun Umpires. On the panel today, we have our usual four-man crew of Nick Swaha, Sean Garretsy, and Jacob Heath. My name is Nobu Goto, and our special guest for tonight is a prominent figure in the umpiring and officiating community. The president of umpire.com, Jim Kirk, is here with us tonight. Jim, thanks for being here, taking the time to talk to us tonight.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I've been hearing lots of good things about you guys, and I wanted to see what I could do to help.
Sounds awesome. Now, before we dive into what we have prepared for tonight, please do make sure you give the video a like, share the video, tell any umpire you know that may benefit from what we're doing out here about our group, and as always, thank you for your support. So tonight, we have a roundtable discussion here prepared alongside Jim to talk about our mission here at Young Guns, what we're all about, as well as some questions for Jim about the officiating industry and umpire.com. So I think we're all really excited to talk some shop with you. And on that note, Jim, I'll throw it to you.
Well, I'll tell you what, the one thing that when I was watching your really good Off the Plate last week with Chris Lee, the one thing I really wanted to find out is, who are these guys? Who are these young guns? Who are these young guns running wild in the street, right? I found myself, you guys did a great job of interviewing Chris. Chris is a great guy. I remember him he was one of the hardest working, nicest, guys at the Umpire Training Academy there. And so you guys did a great job interviewing him, but I was like, well, I want to know more about Nobu and Jacob and Sean and Nick. So I reached out to you guys and said, hey, can I come on and interview you guys? And so, of course, I know there's a lot of gear junkies out there, and I'm definitely one of them. And I know you guys from talking to you all before this started that you're also, also gear junkies as well. So I know we definitely can't interview you all the whole time in there and someone say, well, why the heck we didn't talk about any gear at all? So I like kind of the format we're doing tonight. So we're going to do the first half is going to be basically me interviewing you guys, and then you're going to interview me. So it's kind of one of those home and away series. So I'm really excited about it. And again, I really appreciate you guys allowing me to be on here. Well, but how did this Young Gun Umpires get started?
So, Jim, I want to give credit to Nick for the original idea. He came to us individually, talked about what we were going to do, what were we doing to help the umpiring community, right? We are certainly not of stature as some of the guys' names like Jeff Gosney, anybody, whether it's Frank Sylvester, any of these other big time guys. So we don't have the exact knowledge and experience to start a page like UTD, which gives great insight and knowledge to things. In situations on the field. So we decided that we all had one thing in common, which is coming up through the ranks as young guys. We had our own trials and tribulations. Mm-hmm. We went through different things in associations, whether it was dealing with veteran umpires not liking us moving up the ranks, having to kind of handle things on our own, whatever it may be, our own failures and successes, and dealing with them individually. So we all came together and we decided that we were going to do the best that we could to create a platform that we like to use, which is creating the new standard for younger and newer umpires. Just being there for guys, whether it's on the field or off the field, and that's been our goal and our vision, and that's what we're working with going forward.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's really admirable of you guys, and I love the idea. We talk a lot about sphere of influence. We talk a lot about it at the office. We talk about it at home. What is your sphere of influence? Where do you have some expertise, and where can that expertise be offered to help others, right? And so my sphere of expertise is in umpire gear, and I'm also in the web. I'm really good about writing articles. I'm really good about coming up with ways to write things to kind of help influence people toward making good decisions on safety and things like that. So we talk about sphere of influence, and I know there's a lot of people on there been doing Zoom calls. I know Ray Brownling's been doing a great job. Scooter Morrison's done a great job out there interviewing people, but they have their own perspective, right, on things. And so, and they have their own sphere of influence. And what you're telling me that I'm hearing, and tell me if I'm wrong, is you all have expertise as young umpires of what it's like getting into the career, the problems you face, and you want to talk more to not necessarily the high school umpire wanting to make it to college. You want to talk about people get started, how you move up. Am I accurate on that, Jacob?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. That's just It's ultimately it's something I told them before you got on is helping. It's not everybody can be a professional umpire, right? Not everybody can be an MLB umpire. It's about being the best umpire you can be at the best level you can be at. If you're best fitted for 8-year-old coach pitch, then guess what? If you're out there having fun with the kids and you know what you're doing and you're having fun, then it is what it is. Be the best that you can be out there, and that's what it's all about.
I tell you what, I love that because I look a lot of times from the outside looking in because we're a sporting goods retailer, right? We don't do camps, we don't do clinics. I'm not here to sign games for people, but I see a lot, right? I see a lot through from being at minor league umpire training academy. I see a lot through our relationship with National Association of Sporting Goods, the games I go to. I see a lot, and what I really notice is often it's the starting umpire, the amateur umpire is the one that's overlooked. How do you get from the first level to the second level? There's a lot of attention of how you get from the third to the fourth or the fourth to the fifth, but where you all are has been lacking. And I really applaud you guys on what you're doing to make a difference within your sphere of influence. So based on that, tell me where the name came from. Where did Young Gun Umpires come from?
So, it's kind of a funny story. We were sitting around, it was a round table thing, all 4 of us. We had been on a couple Zoom meeting calls, and we were looking for a really good name. We knew that was the best thing to start with, was if we get a catchy name, we'll be able to run with this thing a little bit and get some good exposure. So I kind of reached out to Ray Brownlee. I got a lot of trust in him, a lot of faith in him for what he's done for the umpiring community as a whole. Obviously, you see what he's done. He's now got major league crews using his gear and obviously working with you all at umpiretire.com. So, and I asked Ray straight up, I told him our idea and if he would help us I guess you could say promote it, which he was no questions asked, no hesitation. And my secondary question to him was, what do you think about a name? And off the bat, Ray was Young Gun Umpires. And
I did not know that.
Oh,
I did not know that.
It was like the nail. I mean, the hammer hitting the head on the nail. I mean, it was great. We loved it. We ran with it. And
wow.
So that's where it came from.
And so it was unanimous. Everyone was okay with it, right?
So
you didn't come and say, hey guys, I got this great name. It's Young Guns. I'm all for it. And Sean went, I don't know about that one. No, you guys were all in, Nick.
It was great.
You felt good about it?
Yeah, so Sean and I actually were talking back and forth, and we were trying to figure out a name, and we kept coming up with like umpire development, young umpire, like trying to find an acronym or something.
Right.
And everything that we kept on doing was like UTD, something very similar to someone else, and we couldn't.
Right.
And then when Jacob reached out to Ray, we were like, "Holy cow! Why didn't we think of this? The perfect name."
Some boring name like umpiretire.com. I mean, some boring generic, right? You all came out with something. I think if we had done younggunsumpiregear.com, we probably would have. I wouldn't even be talking to you guys. I'd be talking to all the major league guys right now. I'm sorry. So no, I love the name. That's what kind of got my attention. I'm like, who's got the guts to call themselves Young Gun Umpires? Who is that? Is this a bunch of old guys trying to act young? I mean, are these a bunch of Cooperstown Dreams Park guys? I mean, who is this? And then I looked, and it's a bunch of young guys, a bunch of young guns. And so that definitely got me interested. You all know, how, how many of you who's went to pro umpire school? Who went? Tell me real quick. Who went to pro umpire school and where?
Yeah, I'm the guy here that has the pro school experience, I guess. I am a minor league baseball umpire training academy class of 2017, and this past January in 2020, had a blast both times. In fact, that's where Jim and I met.
Right.
And yeah, it's a great experience that I would recommend for anyone.
And Nick, you went too, right?
No, I didn't. I'm planning on going.
You're the one that's wanting to go, right? You're wanting to go to.
Yeah, so Jake and I are actually planning on going in the coming years. My plan was to go this coming winter, but I just got accepted to grad school. So I'm going to actually plan on getting that done with and then go to umpire school.
Okay. So Nobu, you're the one that went to pro school. So you definitely know that about me, that when I'm down there, I really like spending time with you guys and trying to educate, right? Did you see me down there doing a lot of sales? Like I would say, hey, this is half off, come get it. Did you see that a lot when I was down there?
Oh yeah,
No,
you're
you
one
didn't see that. No, you didn't see me down there going, "Hey, this is half off." You didn't do
you're
that.
one
You
of the
saw me
few
down
people
there.
there wearing a blue shirt that's not screaming at us every single
Right,
day.
right, right. I
So
wasn't screaming.
it's
I was the
very
one
comforting.
going, putting the arm around you guys and going, "Hey, it's okay. Just get back out there. Keep working at it." Right. I really enjoy, because I'm kind of an old gun, to be honest with you. So it's nice to feel a little bit younger again and spend time down at the academy. I know I'm always energized every year starting that out, and then of course being on here with you guys. So Nobu, what did you think about your experiences in at the Umpire Training Academy? And it's usually people, if they go twice, they go back to back. You went on alternate years, so tell me about your experiences at the Umpire Training Academy and why you did the big break in the middle.
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, I'd say that the two experiences I thought they'd be similar, but it turns out it was incredibly different. Both times I had a blast. It was fun, but it was different in the sense that first time around, you're a little naive. You don't know what's coming, so every single day you kind of have that anticipation of, oh, what's going to happen tomorrow? Like, oh, what are we gonna learn tomorrow? Second time around, you obviously know exactly what's going to come and what's happening where you're at in the curriculum. Um, but what I was able to enjoy most the second time around was now I had already built some relationships with people that were there. I knew some of the instructors that were former classmates, other students that were either their first time or their second time around. We would maybe hang out at night. We'll do study sessions. We'll work on the homework together, things like that. It's really all about the relationships you build at umpire school that really last a lifetime. And that's I think that's really the most enjoyable part of umpire
Mhm.
school. It's just all the new people you meet from all over the world, really.
So
And
it's really interesting that you went 2 different years. It was the same location, the same curriculum, and you had 2 different perspectives, and you took you had 2 different takeaways.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, in terms of taking that little gap in between, first time around, I was very fortunate enough to I guess scratch and claw my way into the advanced course. I was very fortunate to work the Coastal Plain League, but I did not get the invite back to the advanced course. So and at that point, going to school then, I was 19 years old. I umpired a total of 17 JV high school games before going to umpire school. I just
Before
didn't
your
know any
first
better,
year?
so I went. Yeah,
17. Okay. So now
yeah,
some come and they have 0. You know that, right? So you have
exactly.
more experience than somebody, right? So, but that's
Exactly. Yeah, it just helped that I didn't have any bad habits to break, and
well, I tell you what. Now that we're talking about school, who were some of your favorite instructors?
there's so many names.
Yeah.
A guy that really that that really helped me a lot is Matt Brown.
Oh yeah.
Just in terms of he's always that positive guy. You might be
Mhm.
having a really tough day out there,
Yeah.
but he's that one instructor that you'll come over, he'll still give you the fist bump, he'll tell you good job,
Mhm.
maybe even if you screwed up a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's
That's good.
umpire school. You go through a lot of ups and downs,
Right.
and sometimes your lows can get pretty low. So you
Yeah.
really treasure those moments when people around you really try to pick you up.
Well, I
And
want to get
Matt
to some of the
Brown's
other
just one of
guys,
those
but
guys.
I want to ask you one more question, since we're talking about how to help young guys as they progress. How did you handle not being asked to the advanced course? How did you handle that? And what was the best thing the best advice or the best takeaway or whatever that you had that helped you move on from that?
Oh yeah, it obviously wasn't it wasn't the news I wanted to hear personally, obviously, but with every decision there's a reason, and minor league baseball gave me an explanation. I needed to polish up a little bit, so I just took that and I said, all right, let's get polished. I went to a couple college camps, worked a couple years of just getting more reps, as many reps as possible doing college games, just working a higher level of baseball. And
So,
that's why I think if I had went back even a year earlier than I actually did, I
mhm,
wouldn't have done nearly as well.
is that right? That's
Absolutely.
interesting. Do you still recommend those camps? I know there's a lot of good camps out there. I know the Mid American camp in Springfield, Missouri is a great camp. I've been to that camp as an observer. of the Southeast Michigan umpire camp is an awesome kind of 3-day camp. Do you still recommend those camps, even if to prepare you to go to Umpire Training Academy, or are they still good even after you go?
Oh, I definitely say they're still good after.
All the above.
Oh yeah. A lot of the instructors, I'll use Alex Scandalis's camps as an example. I think Brian DeBrouwer is one of the best clinicians out there. And he's obviously a guy that went to umpire school, so
right.
it's that's where all the foundations are laid, and a similar message is spread.
Right.
Obviously, nothing is as challenging as umpire school. The 6 days a week for a whole month, but it's really, you get a good experience out of it. And what also helped going into umpire school the first time was I was very fortunate to get invited to the MLB umpire camps, invitational camp in Fort Myers for a week.
Oh, you went to that one? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So that was funny. It was like I got the week 3 umpire school experience without having been there. So it really made the first couple weeks kind of smooth sailing for me.
Sean, tell us a little bit about some of your umpiring experience. I read that you started out in Little League, and you're also a teacher, and so you've got to do both. And tell me a little bit about your. I'm sure people watching want to hear a little bit too about what your experience is from umpiring.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started off as a Little League guy. I was asked to join by one of my buddies. They needed some guys to cover some games over the summer. I was home from college, and got into it, and kind of caught that bug right off the bat, and just loved it. It was a great way for me to stay in the game of baseball. I was still playing college ball at the time, so it was great to kind of get some work in, and make some extra cash while I was home from college in the summer. And I graduated college in December of 2015.
What'd you get your degree in?
Special education, elementary, and gen ed special education. So I can teach anywhere through 1st and through 6th grade in New York State. And then got a job 2 weeks after I graduated. Been teaching since. So pro school was never really a thing that crossed my horizon, just because I had already started my teaching career. So
wasn't your path? Wasn't the path you followed, right?
Right. So got into high school ball 3 years ago. Did 1 full year of high school baseball, and then the very next year jumped up to college and moved out to Syracuse.
Wow.
Been out here for 2 years. This would have been my 2nd season doing college baseball. Right now just doing JUCO D3 ball, some fall ball stuff that they assign out here locally, but and regular season in the spring for United. So being able to balance work and school has been a big challenge at the beginning, because you might have a game 25 minutes away. You don't get out of work until 3:15,
right?
And you got to be at the field at 3:45, and sometimes it's just not possible,
right?
So there's games that I have to work with my assigner, make sure that I'm communicating.
You got enough time to get there,
right?
Yeah.
And this is the time that I'm getting out and saying, hey, I just can't make that. It's not possible. And I've been really fortunate out here in Syracuse that they've been able to work around my work schedule.
Right.
So it's been really nice. And then as far as college right now, I'm just doing a bunch of weekend stuff.
Yeah.
I'll do doubleheader Saturdays, Sundays. And then summer ball, I'm running around New York State constantly. So
let's talk about it a little bit. I'm sure people are watching who are younger umpires, and they're looking at you guys as role models for how you moved up, how that happened. And I'm sure there's a lot of youth umpires out there, Little League umpires out there. How many years did you umpire Little League before you put your toe into high school? So
I did Little League for just about full 6 years. And then I finally got a teaching job where I could get out early enough to do the high school games. And one of my buddy's dads was already in the high school association in Rochester. and
Right.
he invited us to the welcome meeting for new members, and I went there, did that, and been umpiring high school for, this would have been my third season doing that, and then transferred out to the Syracuse chapter 2 years ago, and pretty much doing the same thing. And then after that first year of high school, I got invited to a college camp through UCU United, and worked in front of Chris Marshall, and pretty much learned from those guys. Did a advanced two-man clinic at Rochester Technology, and got asked to join United, and been working with them for the past 2 years.
That's great. That's great. Nick, tell us a little bit about your experience and how you got started. Did you also take the similar path as Sean and started Little League and then moved your way up?
Yeah, it's somewhat similar. I actually started when I was 11 years old. I started doing Little League. I was doing the age right below me. So I was playing majors, 11
Right.
years old, and I was umpiring the 8, 9, and 10-year-olds. And then all the way through high school, I was umpiring. Even when I was doing playing varsity, I was doing Little League games. I was doing teener games, all that. And then when I graduated high school, I was like, I want to continue to do this. Like, I didn't know how. And then my freshman year of college up at SUNY Cortland, I was just walking around campus, and I stumbled across the first ever United Cortland clinic, 3-man clinic. Just walking by, and it was on the field. And there I met Warren Bumpus, who's become not just one of my closest mentors, just like a father figure to me, grandfather, anything to like in that respect. And at that point, he was the rules interpreter for the Syracuse chapter for New York State. So he got me into high school baseball that spring. I did some work with him in the winter. And then that spring at the end, I was actually doing an internship with the State University of New York Athletic Conference. They were hosting the Division III Regional for baseball up at OCC, Onondaga Community College. And I was actually the umpire, like liaison. I was their attaché. I was whatever you want to call it. And from there, I met Matt McMahon, and he actually was doing.
Yeah, I know Matt.
Yeah, he was doing the D3 World Series that year, and he said, "Why don't you come out with me?" So I went out with him, and I was their ball boy. I was the person in charge of on-field replay, giving them their headsets. Thank God we didn't have any replays.
Well, that's neat.
That year with 0. And I've been going ever since with helping Don Umlin, the D3 national coordinator. I've been his right-hand man for that stuff. And then while I was there, Alex Scandalis and maybe Chris Marshall, I know Alex went. I actually signed up for my first umpire clinic for college while I was there. And then when I got home in the summer, I went to my first clinic in Rochester, 2-man for United. And from there, that following spring, I did my first college game. So it was my spring of my sophomore year. I did 1 year of high school, and then I went right into college.
Well, you guys both you and Sean both went, like, we spent a while getting to high school, but man, when after that, it just kind of blew up for you guys, it sounds like. So you guys went there pretty quick. I think I read you, Nick, where you've sort of followed this trend of always umpiring, like almost at, your age, right? Like you said, when you were 11, you did one level before. And I think I even read that you did some college ball while you were in college. Is that true?
Yep, that's all I did. So I graduated this year. The entire 4 years, well, 3 years, my sophomore to my senior year, I was doing D3 in junior college while I was in college.
That's unbelievable. I've never heard that before. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so I actually also do volleyball. I line judge on men's and women's volleyball for college. So I was doing that as well in the fall. And I was actually assigned my first D1 game my junior year, and it got rained out. And then I was actually my first D1 conference weekend this year, and then that got, unfortunately, with COVID and everything.
Absolutely, yeah. COVID did, yeah.
But yeah, it was some trials and tribulations coming up through doing all my classwork and all my extracurricular activities, and then baseball. So, but
And the word is you said that you're starting graduate school as well?
Yeah. So
What are you studying?
So I just graduated my undergrad with sport management with a concentration in intercollegiate administration. And then in this fall, I don't know yet. I might take a semester off and go back in the spring. I'm going to Shippensburg University for organizational development and leadership.
Right. Okay. So we know that we're starting to know the young guns, but we just found out who the brains behind all this is, right? So, yeah. So, all right, we're saving the best for last. Jacob Heath, it's your turn. Tell us a little about your history and how you got started. You're the only guy here that we got Nick's from Pennsylvania, who now lives in New York, and Nobu and Sean, they're New York guys, right? I think they're both. Are you both Queens? Did I get that right? Nobu's from Queens. No, Sean is from Brooklyn.
Syracuse.
Oh, Syracuse. Okay, so New York. So up New York. Yeah. So and Jacob is the long distance young gun from that location in Louisiana, just 15 miles west of New Orleans, or how do you say it? Nolans, right? Did I get that right?
Nolans. Oh, yeah, born and raised, man, Nolans.
Yeah. So we want to hear about you, man. We want to hear about your story.
Yeah, I think one thing before I want to start is that I think that, it's cool to see everybody's different paths. It goes to show you that, like, there's no black and white stuff about how to get where you need to be or how to get where you want to be. It's how you got to battle every day, how you got to find out things for yourself, how you got to listen to the right people. Sometimes you just got to attach to the right guy and just be an aggressive listener and a very passive speaker to get to where you want to be. And all three of these, and mine as well, all four of these stories put that on the right path of saying that in itself. But, as far as I go, I started when I was 12 years old at a playground right down the street from me, Little Farms Playground, right here in River Ridge, Louisiana. I loved it. I was 12 years old. I remember at a time when I was about 9, I would bug my supervisor. I don't know what it was, man. It was just my niche. I love to umpire. There was never that one defining moment to where, oh man, let me get into umpiring. It's just something I've always wanted to do. I love to do it, but I umpired my first game at 12 years old, and every summer since then, I have umpired. I worked my way up. I did a lot of Dixie youth ball. When I was 17, I got into a little local group that does a lot of youth ball. They don't do any high school stuff, but they do a lot of recreational ball, so on and so forth, all the way up to 18U. I worked hard with them. Got a bit of backlash in that association from one of the better veteran guys, which forced me to say, okay, well, what else is next for me? Which got me in touch with the high school group that I'm with now, which is Crescent City Umpires, where I have found some of my best friends in the whole entire world. I got hired into junior college baseball this past fall. Worked some junior college ball before all the COVID stuff. I was fortunate enough to get some games in, and here I am now. I'm planning on, as of this moment, going to pro umpire school this January,
Oh, wow.
and hoping for the best.
Mm-hmm.
I have a positive mindset, but we know where we're at in today's world with spots being open, especially everything that's going on. So I do have a plan to go twice if need be, and this is what I've dedicated to. I've given up a lot of things. I've sacrificed a lot of time, and so I'm excited for what's to look forward.
That's great. Another great story. All of you guys, I really applaud all of you on on what you've done. It sounds like to me that I hear every one of you talk about how someone helped you, right? You had someone. I know Nobu, you mentioned Matt Brown. Nick, you talked a lot about Alex Gandalis, and Jacob, you talked about people at your level and things like that. I mean, how important is that? How important is it? And any of you guys can answer. I mean, how important is it to have that someone who is sort of provides let's just say a mentor or someone that just looks out after you? How important is that for young umpires?
So I think, and everybody's going to have their different answer, but it goes to what I said before about being an aggressive listener and a passive speaker, right? Listening to hear and not listening to speak. But there's always that one person that you're going to talk about, right? Just like you said, Nobu said Matt Brown, and Nick said Warren Bumpus, and for me, it's guys down here like Shane Rigdon, who's the assignment secretary out of New Orleans. Guys like Luke Weems, Alex Ziegler, who's been so helpful to me, man. But those are the guys that's the guy that's the first phone call, right? When something big happens, when you get that first phone call, when you get that first big time game that you've been working for, whatever it is, or even better, when the bad things happen, right? When you had a play that you kicked and you talk to them, and it's like, and that's the person that you trust. And it's so important to have that mentor and to lean on them and to listen to what they have to say. I can't say that enough, because there's almost an emotional connection with that person, so I feel very strongly about finding that person and attaching to them. I think that's something that but that Ziggy talked about when we interviewed him, about find your mentor in whatever part of the country you're in, so I think it's very important.
Does anybody else want to chime in on that, or do you all feel pretty much that's exactly what you all are thinking as well?
Yeah,
I guess that's all.
Just to pick off Jacob, finding somebody that you can trust and talk to,
right?
Was one of the biggest things, and mine was Matt Arcovio.
Right.
He was the one that really pushed me during our trainings for high school ball. He's the one that actually really pushed me to jump into college stuff too.
That's excellent.
And him and I actually got to work my first college game together at Wells College, and he tells it how it is.
Right.
You suck.
Sometimes you need that too, right? Just tell it how it is. Just tell me what I need to do. I'll take it, and go with it. So, it's very interesting hearing about all your paths that you took to where you are now. I started out as a young gun. I started umpiring when I was 22. So, and one thing I did not have is what you all are telling me that you have, and that was a mentor, someone who worked with you, looked out after you. Now, I had a good assigner, but I will say this, that we were, where I umpire was in a pretty rural area. My assigner was not local, right? He was probably a good hour drive away. So we didn't really spend, as much as I liked him, we didn't really spend a lot of time together. And so I really think I could have, the 2 years, I only umpired for 2 years in high school ball. And I went straight to high school. I didn't do the league. I mean, I guess there was such a shortage of umpires in our rural area. They would have taken, okay, you played baseball in college. Okay, here's a catalog to get some gear and get suited up. You've got a game tomorrow night. And I actually think it was kind of like that. Like, I can get you assigned tomorrow night. And I was like, okay, all right. So, anyway, I started out with, and I think I could have really used somebody. So what advice would you give someone who maybe is in a place where they don't have a mentor? You sound like you guys, maybe someone sought out you to mentor you. What happens if there's a young gun out there who doesn't have somebody? I mean, should you actively seek out and try to find somebody? Is that important?
Yeah, so I can speak to this. So I'm also in a really rural area. So I graduated high school with 86 kids. So I'm really small. When I started out, for the first 4 or 5 years, I didn't have anybody. It was just me. Like, that's it. I learned mostly from just watching MLB guys on TV. I know the guys on TV go into games. But what was really important to me when I got into college was the fact that, Warren Bumpus and Matt McMahon took me under their wing, but I also sought out them. So, like, I kept going towards them. I kept asking them questions. I still do this day. Like, I'll talk to Matt, I'll talk to Warren all the time. So I think there needs to be that balancing act of, the older guys need to actively take younger guys under to learn, to get them to take their place eventually. But the younger guys also have to be not passive and really understand that they need those mentors to really move them forward, move them towards their goals and aspirations in umpiring.
Well, you guys, I think you guys have done a great introduction of, who you are, who Young Guns are, what you want to accomplish, what your sphere of influence is. I think there's a great market out there, in the sense there's a lot of people out there who are young guns, or who want to be young guns, who want to be like you, and they're starting out, they need advice. And I love that you guys are doing that. So again, I applaud you guys for that. So we're gonna do something a little different. I'm gonna do like a little lightning round. I got a couple questions for you all. And here's the funny thing. I sent you all a couple of lightning round questions before the meeting today. I'm not gonna ask those. I'm gonna ask something different, because I'm gonna really see if you all can think on your feet, and and so we're just gonna see, right? So okay, so lightning round question number 1, and it's a lightning round, so we'll just go one by one, and we'll do alphabetical order. We'll do Jacob, Nick, Nobu, and then Sean, right? So, so besides me, who is your ideal guest for the Young Guns Zoom call?
Oh man. Oh man.
You're on the spot
Well,
now.
and we can also say Jeff Gosney. I know. Okay, besides me and Jeff Gosney, or
Hey,
guys, let's put Jeff
I'll
first.
just say
Jeff's got a lot more experience than I've got. Besides Jeff Gosney and me, who's coming on tomorrow night, right? Jeff Gosney tomorrow night.
Yeah.
You're all doing back to back. This is how big you guys are getting. You're having back to back shows. Forget this weekly stuff. We're going nightly, right? This is the evening show brought to you by the Young Gun. So
Yeah.
I love it. So besides Jeff Gosney and Jim Kirk, who's your ideal guest for Zoom Golf?
100%. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I'm not just again. I don't know. I've told you this. I'm not just. I mean, Jeff would have been my first go-to. I mean, Jeff has been all over these forums, constantly, helping guys out. I mean, helping me out. I mean, I look up to Jeff immensely. But I guess, man, an ideal guest. Man, I think we've had some great guys on there. I really don't have a better answer than Jeff.
Yeah, ideal guest that you've not already had on, I guess. So, and I want to remind you, this is the lightning round.
Yeah, I guess
I want to remind you that, Jacob, it's the lightning round. So,
I guess somebody like, an ideal guy, maybe like Stu Sherwater.
Okay, there we go, Stu Sherwater.
He's a great student of the game. Yeah, he's a great student of the game. Like him a lot.
Nick, we're in the lightning round. What's your answer? Who do you want?
I've had this guest in mind for since we started, and he's actually coming on next week, and I might as well just bring it out. So his name's Brian Miller. He was a former AA umpire in the Eastern League. He actually stopped umpiring professional baseball on his own will. He felt like it wasn't it for him, but he still does college baseball. He's in the Conference USA. I think he does some ACC non-con. He does a bunch of D1.
Right.
So
somebody maybe one more level above you guys that you all could use for information. All right, lightning round. Nobu, what's your answer?
Jim, you asked the question and my phone is exploding right now.
Why? Why is it people saying me? Pick me. Is that what it is?
It's no. I have a certain Chris Lee that just texted me and I have to agree with him. I think the answer is Ron Teague. I don't think he's watching, but Ron,
that's a good one. Oh my gosh, Ron. Oh my gosh, I would. Yeah. You guys, that might be a 2-hour Zoom call. You might get ready for that one, and you might need to lay down some specific rules and guidelines. And I love Ron. Ron is one of the first people I met at Umpire Training Academy. He was one of the instructors down there. One of the what they used to call junior instructors, but they've changed the name now. They're all minor league instructors, right? Which I think is better for them. And I just love Ron. He was just the best. So that's great. So you got Ron. Okay, I forgot we're in the lightning round. I'm talking too much. Sean, who is your ideal guest that you've not already had on, and it's not me or Jeff Gosney? Who do you want?
All right. So I think for me, I would love to have Matt Arcovio on just because he's a big mentor. He does a lot of training. So I think that as far as getting information to younger and newer guys, it fits our purpose and it fits our kind of goals as far as what we as a group want to do. So I think he would be my go-to guy.
Nice. All right, so that's lightning round number 1. Round number 2, of you 4, who is the best umpire?
Oh.
Who is it? Spill the tea. Who is it?
So
what do you think? Come on.
So I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. That's not who I am. But I think.
But it's me.
One's got thrown under the bus.
Right? I think we all have our own strengths in the area that we're in. So, one second, I gotta let Jacob back in because his bandwidth was terrible. But I think we all can umpire great, and we have a good head on our shoulders, and we know what's important for the level of ball that we do. So,
did he ask who the best umpire is?
Who is it?
Oh, it's flat out me. I mean, y'all 3 knew that I was coming with that answer. All 3 of you knew that I was coming with that answer.
That's why they cut
from
you
a mile
off.
away.
You see what Nick did? Nick cut you off before you could answer.
Exactly.
That's not cool.
There's a reason I gave the politically correct answer before Jacob got back on.
You cut him off, say what you wanted to say. Jake comes back on. Okay. All right. So the lightning round's over. That was really good. You guys did great. That was a great lightning round. Okay. So I think I'm done with you guys. We took 2/3 of the time up talking to you with you guys, and that's just fine. We'll just do part 2. We'll do another episode. Let's see, you got me tonight. We'll do Jeff Gowsey tomorrow night, and then I'll come back on Thursday night. So it'll be 3 nights in a row, right? So so now we'll get into what you guys want to talk about, talking about some gear and things like that. Unless there's anything else that you guys want to talk about from Young Guns, you didn't feel like that I asked a question that should have been answered.
Jim,
what you guys are and what you guys want to accomplish.
Jim, I just want to say one thing. You know, I know we kind of got into how we started and all, but I just want to make sure that we understand a few things. Number one, isn't clear, but we didn't start this because COVID-19 started, right? This idea happened before this COVID-19 stuff started, and you know, something that registered with all 4 of us. You could see we started jotting down stuff the other day for you. We were having our meeting, trying to pick each other's brains, and I think a goal of ours, this thing is going to challenge all 4 of us to get to a higher level of ball. Meaning, you know, at the end of the day, there's a lot of guys with a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge. So you're not really separating yourself just because you have knowledge and experience, right? But it's the question is what are you doing with that knowledge and experience? Are you giving it back to the right places? Are you doing the right things with it? And I think this is good. This page is going to challenge us years down the line, talking about 5, 10, 15 years, to come back and share this knowledge, because this page is up here. It's not going to go away because COVID-19 is going, or because we're back to our schedules. You know, so this is going to challenge all 4 of us to come back and continue to give to the umpire community and do what we want to do, which is help pave a way and create a new standard for newer and younger umpires. I love that. Be clear.
Yeah, so when I first came up with the idea of this page, I came up with this idea in my head. I just had this general idea of it like about 2 years ago. And it always just kind of got pushed under the rug and everything. Just because I've done other sports and everything I've seen across the country. I always say this as an example, soccer. USA Soccer has a great program across the country to train officials. They have standards, they have physical things that they have to meet, all that stuff. They have online programs, and it pretty much streamlined how soccer is supposed to be refereed. The ARs are supposed to work, the 4th official is supposed to work, but we really don't have that in baseball. And what all of us said when I first reached out to them was that when we first started out, there wasn't the right way of doing something, because the level that we work, there's different mechanics and everything, but we were always told different things. One person might say, do it this way, then the other person might say, do it this way. So we really wanted to just solidify that, yeah, there might be different philosophies on how to do things, and we want younger umpires to find what works best for them on the field. The example that Jacob and I not really get in an argument about is taking plays at first base. There's 2 rules of thought, 90 degrees or just 2 steps.
Yes.
Jacob's 90 degree. But like, I just want younger, newer umpires to just think in their mind what works best for them. Not try to take all the information that these guys are saying and just do what they say, but really find what works best for them.
Right.
And understand that both is right. Just how it works for them is what makes it right. So
that's good. That's good, guys. I love it. I love the idea. You're paving a path, and then you're also basically realizing, look, I'm going to learn too. You're saying we're still going to learn, and we want to continue to pass our knowledge that we're learning on to the people that are learning from us. And I just think that's great. So I wish you guys the best of luck with what you're all doing, and I'm excited to see what you're doing, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do more of. How old are each one of you? Let's go through this and make this one more lightning round question. Jacob, how old are you?
22.
22. Nick?
23 in August.
23 in August. Nobu?
23.
23. Sean?
I'll be 27 next month.
Oh, you're too old.
Oh man.
Oh,
man.
Hold a second. I thought 25 was the cutoff.
30. 30. 30 is the cutoff.
30 is the cutoff? Okay, Sean, you got 3 more years. You got 3 more years. So yeah, I knew that was coming. And I kind of asked it in a good way because we went from youngest to old. That was awesome. That was good. I love that. So yeah, it's been nice interviewing you guys. It's been interesting. I know I've been on a couple of Zoom calls, and they've all been different as far as my experience. One time I was interviewed by Ray Brownlee. You all mentioned Ray, and I tell you what, it's so funny that you all said that it was him that came up with the Young Guns. And I come across his name, you know that we work close together, and Ray's a friend of mine. And I love what he's doing. I mean, he's a nut. He's, you know, he gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning and has an idea, has some epiphany, he puts it down on paper. And then next thing you know, he's talking about it on his Facebook page. Within the next day, he's got a prototype, and he's asking who wants to buy. Well, I've never, I mean, you know, companies, you know, we love Wilson and All Star and New, but we love all those companies. They definitely do not move on his pace. But I will tell you this quick little story was Dave Ducat with Umpires Without Borders. I was talking with him. We had the first little discussion, I don't know, maybe a little over a year ago. And I asked him, I said, you know, your logo, tell me about, how did you do your logo? He said, Ray Brownlee did the logo. I was just like, Ray's everywhere. I mean, you know, so that's kind of a funny story. So that might be a good segue. We talked a little bit about Ray Brownlee and Up Life and Wilson and All Star, and maybe it's your turn to flip the tables. I grilled you guys. I put you through a lightning round. I lied to you. I sent you some questions, and I ended up changing the questions, you know, to see how you'd respond. You know, Jacob might be the best umpire, but he was the slowest to figure out his answer. So I'm just going to say that. So,
it takes us Louisiana people a little bit longer to process some things.
It's okay.
That's all, brother.
Yeah, it would be a disservice to everyone watching if we got the president of umpire.com and didn't ask any equipment related questions. So yeah, I'll start it off, I guess, all the way at the beginning. I know we talked about it a little bit before we went live, but what's the origin story of umpire.com? How did it all come together?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's kind of a long story, but I'm gonna try to shorten it up. I came in a different way, right? I am an e-commerce guy. I did websites for people back in when people started doing websites, right? When I was a young gun doing websites back in 1999, so I was about 29. So I wasn't that 30 yet, Sean. I was still a young gun. At 29, I started doing websites for people in a small town. And that's back when, you know, Amazon was just kind of getting started and e-commerce was getting started. And so I ended up being, I was working on my MBA at the University of Kentucky. And while I was there, I took a course that touched on web design. And I was in a field similar to you, Sean. I was doing work with special needs people who were adults and helping them in careers, right? Vocational rehabilitation. You've probably heard of vocational rehabilitation. I was a counselor out of college, psychology degree, did that for a number of years. Kind of decided I want to do something different. I've always had an interest in business. I mean, always had an interest in business. And I got into MBA school, and I just happened to get in right when the internet, you know, .com thing was going on, and I kind of caught the bug, and I thought, this is right up my alley. I love the idea of using technology to help people, help businesses create their, you know, reach their goals through that. And so I started doing that. One of my clients was Umpire, and I eventually bought that. So I had, you know, so now on umpire.com, and but did that in 2006. And so it's been a progress, about 14-year progress. And so that all came out of just, I love the idea of this niche sporting goods company that specialized in umpire gear, because I had at least had a couple of years of umpiring experience, right? At least enough to have a perspective on what an umpire is. And I did enough research to find out it was an untapped market for the web. 2006, there were companies that were online, but they were just not very forward thinking. And I thought, I can make a difference. I can make a difference through my sphere of influence by doing a lot of things content wise. I know some of the things early on that we did, that we still do, I was so shocked, right? So you go to a website to buy, let's say, an umpire mask, right? And what do they show you? They show you the front view. Well, they don't show you the back view. I mean, isn't that important to kind of see the padding, right? Isn't it maybe important to see what it looks like worn? I mean, don't you all want to look cool in your umpire mask, right? And so we had this very novel idea that, why don't we take pictures ourselves, you know, of masks? And why don't we take pictures of, you know, instead of someone sending us an umpire shirt picture from a manufacturer on a mannequin, why don't we put it on a person, and then we'll do a back view too, right? I'm sure you've all seen some of the pictures from manufacturers, right? People with their hats on backwards and things like that. So that was just kind of one of the novel things that we did. We started, you know, taking, what we call alternative pictures, worn images, so that you could get as much of a feel that it was, you know, right there with you as possibly could be done online. And we also were the first company to start writing articles about gear, articles about writing buying guides, what mask did you buy, you know, based on your level, things like that. So we just basically just took the website, you know, my website background, and then with my umpiring background, the very little that I had, and I started learning from other young guns like you, and started listening a lot to my customers about what they liked and what they didn't like, and kind of built on that. And then I turn around too, like you guys do, and share that content back. So if I learned something that I never learned before, which I'm still learning, that's one reason I love going to the Minor League Baseball Umpire Training Academy, is I learn something there every year. Some umpire comes up to me and says, did you know that the Force 3 shin guards work better with the low cut, you know, plate shoes than they do the mid cut plate shoes with New Balance? They don't work as good, but you know, just little things like that, little nuggets that you learn. And you go, oh, I didn't really think about that. Let me go back and really research that and see what it actually is right. And then if I learn it, I'll try to put it back out there, and so that it's there, so it's evergreen, so people can find it if they're looking for help on trying to find an umpire mask, or they're trying to figure out how to put a throat guard on their mask the right way and things like that. So it's not anything really complicated that we did. It just was a different perspective that got it started and kind of kept it going. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk all the time here about like at Young Gun Umpires about setting the standard. I think you guys have over at umpertire.com have established the standard for selling officiating equipment online. You know, it's definitely the first website that comes out of my assigner's mouth when we do our classes for new officials. So kind of as my segue to my next question is, do you market your business towards newer and younger umpires, and if so, how?
Well, you know, you guys probably, you know, are a testament to what we do, and it's social media for the younger guys, right? You guys don't like someone to advertise to you, right? You don't like someone to say, hey, 50% off, come get it, right? This is the best mask ever made. Check this out. Under Armour wind pack. It just came in. You got to get it today before it's gone, right? You all see that advertising in your face, front door, coming right to you, right? Don't you? I'm seeing lots of, yeah, I see it. Yeah, don't do that to me.
A lot of the times I just scroll right past it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah, they're trying to sell me. So I don't want to be sold. I'm on Facebook now. I want to read stuff. I want to be entertained. I want to learn something, right? I don't want to be sold to. And so I think social media for us is something that we have also embraced. To me, it goes along the same lines of sharing content. You know, we share what we call evergreen content on our website that we think, God, this needs to stay on here forever and ever, and not a Facebook post that gets shared and then it goes down the screen. That is more of a conversation, right? So we always look at that as we take the analogy of a general store, right? This is kind of a cool analogy I learned this years ago, and it's always stuck with me. Is that for instance, our website is like the inside of a general store, right? If you go in a general store and you want to buy something, of course, today we can say Target or Walmart or whatever. We go in there to buy something. We go in there to get milk. We go in there to get flour. We go in there to get boots or shirts or whatever. And so for us, our website is where you go get your gear, and it's where you go to buy things, right? But the front porch, where the rocking chairs are, right, is where the social media is. It's where you chat and talk. And hey, did you see that game last night? Did you see that call? Or did you hear about the great things that Greg Gibson is doing, you know, with charity work? You know, and that's where you chat and talk. That's where you have conversations, right? And so I've always taken that analogy with the concept of how an internet retailer does social media, right? It's a general store. You got your place for sales and you got your place for conversation, and you don't really want to try to mix them too much. I mean, obviously, sometimes we'll jump in there and on social media and say something like, "Hey, did you see that new mask that we brought out?" But we don't usually come in and throw it in your face and try to sell it to you per se. We might come in and say, "Hey, we've got a new mask. Tell us what you think about it." You know, and so I think that kind of thing really attracts, you know, young people. I don't know, you all can share a little feedback whether you like what we do on social media or don't like it. I know we have a pretty 16,000 Facebook followers, about 6,000 Instagram followers, and 5,000 plus Twitter followers, and we seem to get a decent amount of engagement when we do things, especially when we give stuff away, right? That usually is something that sometimes we'll do a post and we're like, this might be kind of a post that won't do very well. It won't get a lot of comments. Why don't we give something away, and maybe that'll get it going. So, but I don't know. You all feel free to share whether you think that's a good idea to to market to you guys, your age group that way through social media rather than, advertising in a magazine, no offense to Referee Magazine or banner ad on a website, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I actually just finishing my degree, I had to take a sport marketing class. And a lot of what we talked about was knowing how to market to specific demographics. And a lot of the, like we just said, all of us, most of the time when we see something, especially when Facebook nowadays is filled with tons of ads, we pretty much just go right past everything because we don't want to see it. So understanding how to market towards younger people is more important. So one of the things we actually conducted in the class was actually going out and doing a survey of how what kind of marketing would affect certain groups, especially the college age. And a lot of what we saw was that not having a lot of content, maybe having once in a while something out there, not bombarding us with so much that we can't really take it in.
Can't take it in.
Yeah. So
that especially speaks for umpires too, because like Sean, I mean, he's got a full-time job and he also umpires. How do you find time to communicate that much on social media? I'll do a little plug here. People who are watching this who are not followers of our umpire.com Facebook page or our Twitter, if you're a Twitter person, if you're an Instagram person, please look us up and please follow us on there. We're very friendly. We don't post a lot of promotional stuff. We don't brag a lot on ourselves. A lot of it is just very much conversational stuff, and we like to share a lot of news stories, news articles, and things like that we think might be relevant to the community. So I promise you, if you don't like us or follow us on one of those social media platforms, I encourage you to do so. And of course, if you don't like it, you can unfollow, right? So we'd love it. Anybody who is watching the Young Guns or the Young Guns Facebook followers, other social media, to also check us out. That'll be about the only plug I'll make tonight, and that is because we don't really push too promotional on social media. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. So I know one of the biggest issues was, as a newer guy trying to start, was what gear should I go with? What's going to be the cheapest, because I'm just starting out and I haven't worked any games.
Right.
What's also going to keep me safe?
Yeah.
So, like, could you maybe talk about kind of some of your thoughts as far as what might be like a good target starting pack to go with?
Right.
You guys have some on umpire.com. So.
Yeah. Well, that's something we discuss a lot at the office, and we sometimes disagree a little bit on some of that. I will share you my feelings on it. Is, I know that when you start, I was the same way when I started. The reason I umpired was because I had just gotten out of college, I had just gotten married, my wife was still in college, and so we needed the extra money. And so when you need the extra money, you don't really want to have to spend so much money to get the extra money. But I know that's part of it, right? And so, so I think what you have to do is you have to be smart to realize what you need protected, right? Like the uniform stuff is kind of easy, right? Like in the sense that if you're a young umpire and they say you've got to wear charcoal gray pants and you've got to wear a vertical stripe black shirt, okay? And, usually in a signer, if they like a certain company, they say they like umpire.com, they'll say, go get it at umpire.com. They've got black vertical striped shirts, and they've got charcoal gray pants. You can choose between the polyester or the more expensive poly spandex. It's up to you, right? And so on a budget, you can do polyester. If you think, hey, I might want to upgrade a little bit and get the poly spandex, you can do that on your first. That's up to you. That's your call, right? And so, but the uniform choices are a little bit easier. Some of the other choices like, socks, under apparel. I mean, you may already have something there. You don't have to go to an umpire store in order to get, some of those off things. You already may have a jock and a cup that you use from your playing days, in baseball or whatever. You may already have some of that you can use. And so those are also some of the easy things. But then you get into the gear part, and that's where the hard part is. And when I say gear, I'm talking about, I'm talking about shoes. I'm talking about plate shoes. Let's say that a plate shoe is protective gear. Obviously, a base shoe. I see a lot of guys who are just starting out. They've already got some shoe or some black shoe or something like that. It's not necessarily have to be the New Balance MLB, shoe that's $85. Although those are pretty sweet. But Doesn't have to be that, right? Starting out, but obviously from a protective gear standpoint, that's where it gets more concerning. I kind of have a fatherly type air about me a lot of times. I know, Noble, you probably saw a lot of that at the Umpire Training Academy. I want you to be protected, just like I would want my son. My son is 17. He plays baseball in high school. He's always talking about when to umpire. And so if he didn't play travel ball so much, he might have a little bit more time to do so. But obviously, we've not been able to do a whole lot here recently. But I would want to advise you to do what I would advise him. And so when I think about that, I think about basically you've got your mask, you got your chest protector, and you've got your shin guards, right? And you got your plate shoes. What do you think is the most important item of that? What do you think?
Got to be the mask.
Got to be the mask. Why is that? Why is that, Jacob? Why does that be the mask?
If you don't have your brain, you ain't got nothing, my boy.
You ain't got nothing. I like that. I'm going to use it. That's a new slogan. That's a new slogan. I'm going to start sending you a commission check on every mask we sell. If you ain't got your brain, you ain't got nothing. I love it. I love it. I'm getting so many ideas from this call.
You got to stay with the Southern swing, the accent though.
What's that? The accent. Yeah, I got to say the accent. If you ain't got your brain, you ain't got nothing. That Louisiana accent. I love it.
Look, our Southerners come up with good stuff.
So that's the one thing is I want people to make sure that they're having the coverage they need mask wise, right? That's kind of important, right? And that might mean someone gave you a mask. Maybe somebody gave you a mask. But what do you think might be a concern there? What if someone who's been umpiring for 6 or 7 years in Little League and they've been using that mask for 6 or 7 years, they upgraded and they gave you that 6 or 7 year old mask? What would you do?
I wouldn't even use it.
You wouldn't use it?
That's just me. That's just because I have this knowledge.
Okay, that's all right.
That's
good. You buy a new mask. You get the expensive one. I like that. That's good.
No, but like my first ever mask was from a shed that mask was probably in there since 20, 30 years before I was born.
Long time.
Like before I was born, even that,
right.
Other than that. But starting off, you don't really have that understanding of what's
right.
really all that important. So
now you're starting to hit on my thing. You all asked a question down there later. I'm gonna go ahead and steal your thunder. What are your pet peeves? And I don't really have any pet peeves about equipment. I have pet peeves about people not doing things properly when, it's pretty simple. If you just did a little bit of research or just ask someone or something, you would have that little bit of knowledge that would make all the difference. That's my pet peeve. It's not the equipment, because there's obviously some things that we carry that are not as protective as other things. There are some things that we carry that you would not wear on a college field. You wouldn't do it. And so you have to be aware of all that to know those kind of things. So having said that, the answer I was going to, since nobody got it right, is you would get some pads to put in there, right? So maybe the frame is okay. Maybe the harness is okay. You'd get some pads and put in there, right? Because a lot of times protection is based on your padding. You all know that, right?
That was actually going to be one of the question I was going to ask you. What more affects the safety, the structure of the mask or the actual pads themselves?
Yeah, that's a whole episode. We're going to have an episode on masks, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because we could talk about that all day long. I know I could.
Yeah, we could.
But no, the pads have a lot to do with things, right? So, here's an example. I brought with me tonight, where did I put them? I brought Team Wendy. Okay. So I brought the Team Wendy pads. I know that's really popular, right? So it's about $40. You get an old mask, so if you're a younger umpire and someone gives you, whether it's you've got one, I'm sure there's somebody watching right now going, oh shoot, someone did give me an old mask. Maybe I do need to put some pads in. Okay. Well, then don't spend, $85, $100, $130 on a new mask. Put some pads in. That's one way you can get around and save some money, right? And so, because your frame might be okay. And so, but no, it depends. I mean, there's so much to it. You've got the padding, you've got the frame, you've got the metal. Some metals bend more than others. And I mean bend in a good way, where there's, let's say there's flex, right? You obviously don't want to get a mask and you spend money on a mask and it bends and it's permanently bent. But we want a mask that flexes a little bit, right? And so one of the metals, do you all know the metal that does not flex, that people of a popular metal people like that doesn't flex as much? You all know? Another lightning round question.
Steel.
Jacob?
Probably steel.
No. We do an X.
Sean.
Family Feud. We'll do an X, Family Feud style, right? I'm Steve Harvey, right? What do you got, Sean? What is it? Do you
I thought
answer?
steel. So
Huh? Don't be afraid to answer. You're not going to get kicked off the show like Jacob did earlier. What do you think? You got steel, you got aluminum, you got magnesium, and you got titanium. Which one does not flex as much and therefore more force goes through if you take a hit?
titanium.
What is it?
Titanium.
Titanium. You're right. You're right.
Well, no, he
Titanium
said that.
is a
He
really
said that
stiff
because you gave him a list of
metal.
metal.
It's a really stiff metal. One of the big benefits is because it's so dense, you get a smaller bar out of it, so you get a little bit better vision out of the titanium. And so a lot of people love the titanium, but it's a little stiffer. And so metals like magnesium and aluminum actually have a little bit more, and steel too has a little bit more give to it. Obviously, steel is going to be a little bit heavier, right? And if it's heavier, does it give you more protection or less protection?
I would say less.
If it's heavier?
Yeah. This is why I don't go on Steve Harvey's Family Feud.
Right. The heavier that it is, the more force it will absorb, right? Does anybody know what the downside is of having a heavy mask? What do you think?
That
Come
neck
on.
gonna be hurting.
Huh?
That neck's gonna be hurting, baby.
Your neck. Yeah. So if you talk to guys like Joe Brinkman, right? I love talking to the guys that were around before that wore stuff that I've never even seen before, right? And I had a great conversation with Joe one day, and you all know who Joe Brinkman is, right? Please tell me you're not that young to not know who he is, right?
Oh yeah, he's
Everybody's shaking their head, but Sean. And I'm like, I don't know. Sean, you're 27. You're the oldest one. You got to know. You know who Joe Brinkman is. I would say the other guys, it's okay if they don't know. But no, Joe said, look, he said, we didn't really get concussions that much. He said, our masks were so blankety, heavy, we didn't get them. He said, immediately he followed up. But you know what we did get? Neck injuries. Isn't that something? So what's the happy medium, right? What's a happy medium? So a lighter weight mask will prevent what? More neck injuries, right? And so, so you gotta have to find, what your happy medium is. But I would say, the most part, your padding is what it's going to give you more protection. And I had, let's see, for example, this is the All-Star mask, the All-Star Magnesium. Now this is the gray with silver. Cannot keep these in stock. They're always out of stock. We've got all kinds of colors and stuff. But the really neat thing about this, does anybody know what the neat thing about this, the mask pads on this is?
Isn't there the metal in the pad?
Close. I'll give you a half answer on that. There's hard plastic on the outside. So you have the plastic built in to the outer of the padding, right? And so that provides an additional layer of protection. So that's kind of neat. It's kind of like, why didn't anybody else think of that, right? That's kind of a neat idea. So you've got that going on. One of the limitations of this mask, though, is it doesn't have it up here. Does anybody know why it's up down here and not up here? All right, you don't have to answer.
Yeah.
I knew you probably wouldn't know this answer. It's because this mask was originally made for catchers, okay? And what do catchers already have?
They have the hard shell hat.
They've already got the hard shell, okay? All right, so that's part of that issue. Okay, so how do you overcome that padding issue with that? And I know we're talking about newer guys, and this is a $225 mask, but All-Star's looking at coming out with a shell that works better for umpires. And there's also the unequal uncap. Have you all seen that? I brought one of those tonight. You've seen it? Good. Our marketing has been good. I like to hear that. So that's what goes into. See if I can find it. What I've got. Oh, I have it here. That's what you can actually put this inside your hat. Okay, and it provides all around protection there. So there are some things right there. If we're getting into mask discussion of kind of some ins and outs of what is more protective, less protective, but definitely, we promote, replace your mask pads once every year to 2 years, right? Just replace them. It's, your brain is worth more, right? And so from the mask, what's next important is the chest protector, right? So compare chest protector to shin guards. What's more important? It's the chest protector. And you know what that is. That's where your ribs are. That's where your heart is. So that's the next important thing that you want to think about. So for me, when I started out umpiring, I came across and I thought this was the best chest protector that had ever to be. I don't know why everyone didn't have it. It was basically just a thin layer of foam, and it looked like I wasn't wearing anything, and it looked good. I just liked it. It felt good. It was very comfortable. And I went all the first year, no problems. I took a few shots here and there, no problems. And I thought, man, I have figured out the best chest protector, out there. This thing's comfortable. It's protective. I've not had any problems out of it until year 2. Midway through the season, I take a shot about, I'll have to get up here a little bit. I take a shot about right here on that thing, right? And I've always been kind of a big guy, played football, I was always really tough. That just about knocked me over. I mean, I just collapsed. The collapse is the best word that I can use, right? So I just went down. I went down to a knee, right? Of course, everybody's coming out. And I mean, the wind got taken. It was just like, oh my God, what just happened? And in an instant, I knew, guess what? That chest protector was not protective enough. So what we usually talk about at the office is, when it comes to mask and chest protectors, take a little bit of extra time, and you might want to spend a little bit of extra money starting out to make sure that you're protected enough, because you don't want to go out there and get hurt, right? It's not that you're weak or you're, you just don't want to go out there and get hurt, especially if you've got another job, right? You can't teach the kids at school, Sean, if you get hurt, right? So you want to try to protect yourself, out there. And so, so when you think about that and you go down the line of what's most important, most protective, when you get down to shin guards, just make sure you've got some coverage down there, and so what the point is, you can get by with a cheaper shin guard to start out with, right? So maybe you start out with a $30 shin guard, for example. That's something that works for you, right? You don't have to get the $120 Force 3 starting out year 1. You can always work up to that when you start making more money and you start making, you start doing more games, and then you can work up to it, right? And so, but again, mask and chest protectors, definitely do that. And then of course, when it comes to plate shoes, I think it just depends on your level. If you're doing lower level, you're doing the league, you can do the 3 and 2 shoes, but of course, as you get older and you do more games, you're going to want to upgrade to something a little bit more protective. So that's my thought on that. Is it's kind of a happy medium of whether you go cheap, right? Starting out. And like I said, you can get by with shin guards. You can maybe get by with cheaper plate shoes, cheaper base shoes. But spend a little more time researching what's going to work for you, mask and chest protector wise, just so that you stay protected. So that helps out with not having to spend so much money, but yet still being protected in some way, right? Instead of coming out, and we do have people that will order, and they'll order all the good stuff, and you can tell they're a new umpire, and they order all the and we're like, okay, that's great, we love it, but you don't have to. So did that answer your question pretty well on that?
Yep.
Was that a good answer? I mean, do you all, as young umpires, do you like that answer? Is that a fair answer?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I think a lot of people, they just expect, someone who might be in the business of selling umpire equipment to say, oh, buy the $200-some everything.
Right.
It'll be all right. So,
if you have the money, obviously, if you have the money. And then, of course, you guys who moved up, for, say, from little league to high school to college, then you're going to have to rethink what you're going to be doing, right? If you're going to have guys out there throwing harder, right? Then you're going to have to really think a little bit more, especially about the mask, right? Especially about the mask. It might be time to do the upgrade of the mask at that time, right? You might stay with the same shin guards. You might stay with the same chest protector. You might upgrade your chest protector, but the mask is really important. Another thing people don't think about a lot when it comes to gear is the comfort, right? When you do more games and you're making more money and you're doing higher level games and you're being watched and you're being evaluated, you want to be comfortable, right? You want to make sure your chest protector doesn't sag. I've seen major league umpires, and I've seen some higher level minor league umpires who all game, between every pitch, they're adjusting their chest protector. and they don't realize they're doing it, right? And all that takes is either thinking about a chest protector upgrade, or maybe even trying a harness to start out with, right? Maybe you just got a harness that has lost its elasticity, or just for some reason isn't really helping you out, and you can just do an harness upgrade. There's a lot of great harness upgrades on the market. Okay, a lot of great harness upgrades on the market today. Here's one from Wilson, for example, right? It's got the neoprene here. It's a lot better than what comes on the Wilson Gold and Platinum. I think I might have somewhere one of Ray Brownlee's Ump Life neoprene harnesses. Same kind of concept. It's got the nice neoprene in the middle there, and those things, that's going to keep your chest protector nice and snug. But if you're more comfortable, and then also if you've got safety, if you've got equipment that you feel comfortable with safety wise, and you're not going to be hurt, then you're going to be able to focus more on your umpiring. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
you'll be a better umpire. How about that? So that way you're not, up in your chest protector, you're worried you're going to get hit. I talked to someone today who've had some problems with broken toes on some less expensive shoes, plate shoes, and and they want to go up a level. I can't imagine being back there worried that I'm going to get hit and something's going to happen to me protection wise. So
yes, one of my biggest things, I work with a couple guys up this way, and I know some of them are on the call, is when I constantly see my partner go like this on the plate, even if it's snug and it's like up to their, I can't, I just want to, it's just like, I don't feel safe for them when they do that constantly.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
And the other thing that came into my mind was a lot of people just say, hey, go get this equipment, go get this. Force 3 is really hot right now, go get this.
Yep.
But for me and Nobu, we're smaller stature guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily going to work for us. So it's like we have to find stuff that work for us. So like I'm a big Wilson guy. Like Jacob always makes fun of me all the time because I'm like a Wilson endorser. Like everything I wear is Wilson. But I use it because it fits well to my body type. That's the other thing too. So.
No, that's a great question. And I'm always, I see a lot of questions on Facebook, on the Facebook forums, on other forums. People ask that question, I'm a new umpire or I'm looking to upgrade. What do you all think I should get? And it's so crazy because people answer not even knowing A, what level that person's doing, B, what their body type is, or C, how much money they have in their wallet, right? Those are 3 pretty important things to know, right? Are you on a budget? Or do you want to spend all you got? I'm going to get anything, whatever it takes. I'm going to get the best, right? What is it? Which one is it? You got to figure that out. What level am I doing? Someone might recommend a mask. They might recommend the, I don't know what I've done with my All-Star mask. They might recommend the All-Star mask at $225 because they love it. They love this mask, right? But if the person doesn't have that money, it's probably not going to be the best mask for them, right? So, so you've got to think about your budget and you have to think about your level. And again, the level part, I think I got a little bit off track there. If you're working a higher level game, you can probably do this. You don't need this for Little League, right? You don't need it for Little League. You don't need it for JV. There's something else that matches that better, that's at a better price point, right? And then you've got your issue, with safety, right? You got your issue with safety. How safe do you want to be, right? What level are you doing? How good are the catchers? How fast are the pitchers? How much do I want to get hurt or not? You guys are young people. Sometimes I worry about some of the older people that are out there. Some people who truly, they have jobs, they can't get hurt. They can't get hurt. They're not just a high school student, college student, and you can still make it to class, hobbling. You have a job to work. You work construction. You work, you can't get hurt. And so you want to, think about all those different things. You want to think about the money. You want to think about what level you do, and then safety aspects. So anybody that ever answers a question right away when someone asks the question, what chest protector should I get? That shouldn't be the first thing they say back. The first thing they say back should be, what level are you doing? What kind of money do you want to spend? And maybe what are you thinking about? So, and then that way you can dive into something, because when someone says, what's the best mask? My answer is, well, whichever one's the best for you.
Yep.
What's the best chest protector? Whichever one is best for you. Same thing on shin guards and everything else. Now, one thing that if some people here are unfamiliar with umpatire.com, and it is to please use us as a reference. We don't have a buying guide for every single thing, every single category, but we do have a buying guide for masks, chest protectors, shin guards, plate shoes, base shoes, indicators, I don't know, plate brushes, a couple other things, right? And so, and they're not salesy type buying guides. It's not saying you got to buy this, got to buy that. It kind of lays it out for you. The chest protector buying guide talks about what are the best chest protectors for taller people. What are the best chest protectors for shorter people? What are the best chest protectors for smaller frame people? And so there is no right answer. And so that's the thing that I think, you all have really hit on tonight. And I keep preaching, there is no right answer. You got to find out what you want, what's best for you, and try to find something that matches that. So, and then on top of that, one thing that we've done that I think has really been a game changer for us and a game changer for the community is to offer free returns. I mean, people don't take advantage of it enough. Sean's shaking. How many times have you taken advantage of a free return, Sean? I saw that. I see that guilty face there. Are you the one that ordered 5 different chest protectors and sent off the 4 back you didn't like? Was that you? Right. But you can do that, right? I mean, we let you do that, and if you, please do try to get it down to at least 2, that might be helpful. That would be helpful. Get it down, try to narrow it down, and then order both. Order 2. If you've got the money on your credit card, you got your order 2. And then try them on your home, and then figure out which one you like best. We will pay for the return shipping back. That's nuts, but we do it. That's what we do. It's kind of the Zappos model, right? And so, and that way you can find something that fits you without just taking someone's suggestion right off the cuff from an umpire forum out there somewhere, and then you end up with something that is not the best for you. Is that good? Is that a good answer? Does that sound reasonable? I try to be reasonable.
Absolutely.
I think reasonable is good in life. So I just try to carry that through. So
yeah, Jim, as we kind of round out the discussion here, I kind of want to finish off with one final question, kind of bringing the discussion back to relationships with people and whatnot. So what role can umpatire.com play in the officiating community to help new and upcoming sports officials? Maybe not even just limited to umpires, but across the board.
I mean, I think that's a really great question. And I tell you what, when you sent that question to me, I really love that question because it almost sounds like I planted that question, right? And I didn't. Full disclosure, I didn't. It was your all's idea to ask that question, which I think is great because you all are obviously giving a lot back to the umpire community, and I'm going to look forward to seeing what else you give back from here on out. But we at the company, we take a little different approach. First of all, we don't say that we sell sporting goods. Because sporting goods is, it's kind of a, like my son, believe me, he'll want a new bat every year, whatever's a hot one, right? That's sporting goods, right? For umpires and referees, you are buying something that's going to help you in your career, right? Whether it's a career or not. If you're doing Little League baseball and you're making money, you have a job, right? You have a job. Let's just say at least it's a job, right? And so we talk about that. We do when we do our new employees and when they come on, especially the warehouse employees, we talk about how important it is to be accurate with the orders that go out. Because if you need that shin guard or you need that, let's just say that vertical stripe shirt we were talking about earlier that your league wants you to have, and we don't put the vertical stripe shirt in, we put, the old style in, and you needed that one, right? You have a game coming up, you need it, right? If you start officiating basketball and you've never officiated basketball before and you ordered the whole kit and caboodle, you ordered a shirt, pair of pants, and a whistle. And we left the whistle out. Can't leave the whistle out. So we have some things we do that we have some. So we have this culture at work where this isn't just goods. We're helping people in their jobs. Okay, that's how we look at it, right? That's where that comes from. And so we think just in the way we do business, we are giving back, right? Just in the way we provide content. I mean, it takes a lot of time to write buying guides, update buying guides, write blog articles, take extra pictures. I mean, it takes a lot of time. There's a reason why everyone doesn't do it. It takes a lot of time. And so we think just in general, doing the work we do, doing the videos, we're hoping to increase our video library. We just added a section that we call our how-to library where you can go on there and look at ways to polish your shoes, the best way to polish your shoes and best way to make your mask harness appearance, not where, you've got, this sticking out alfalfa, style right up top. We got, things on that, and how to replace your mask pads, those kind of things. So we've got library of those. So we think, again, just in how we do business helps out with that. But we also see there's a lot of leadership gap in the industry. right? There's been a lot of leadership gaps about the coronavirus and umpiring the coronavirus. And so we're so concerned about safety, especially with some of the issues of social distancing behind the plate. Some leagues are requiring people to work behind the mound. And so no one's really said anything about what the best practice is. How do you do it, right? And so I've been really careful about knowing that I am not an expert on mechanics. I'm not an expert on positioning, but I talk to people and listen to people who are. And we recently put up a couple of good articles of one on how to stay safe. Calling, did you see that, Nick? Calling balls behind the mound. And it's pretty simple. Guys, listen, if you don't have to read the article, let me tell you, if you're umpiring behind the mound, balls and strikes, scoot back. You don't have to be so close. Angle is more important than distance. Brent Rice, former person that ran Windelstead Umpire School, was the one that said that. And then John Galiante from the, I get it right, Tri-State Elite Umpire Association. And I really have a lot of respect for him and the videos that he does. And I got his input, and he sent me some diagrams that they've come up with on what a two-man system looks like in that. And again, umpire.com is obviously not the place to go to learn how to do mechanics and things like that. But in this new situation, we just saw a gap in the leadership, and we knew it was related to safety in some way. So we wrote an article and we put up pictures. We took Ty out and we took pictures of him at the right distance. And we took pictures of him from the front view and the back view of what view you would see to try to help people to stay safe. You don't have to be so close. Scoot back. I had John on the phone. I wasn't at the field. They were taking pictures, sending me pictures. I was forwarding to John. John, what do you think of this distance back? Is this far enough back? Nope, it needs to be back 2 or 3 steps. So they took new pictures, and I sent them back to John. John, what do you think about this? And he said, yeah, that's great if there's a steal on third base potential, but you can be a little bit, okay, great. We'll write it all up. We'll write it all up in there. So we just try to provide a lot of gaps in the leadership that's out there. And you might see a lot of good posts out there that are on social media. People will really say some really good stuff, but it doesn't get recorded for all time, right? This idea for the calling balls and strikes from behind the mound and that safety issue came out of the American Sports Officials video they did where they interviewed Brent Rice and Scott Taylor. And it was great. It was great information, but it's not recorded anywhere for someone to read. So I watched that Zoom call. I listened to it again. I tried to write down exactly what Brent Rice had said. I wrote it up in an article. I shared it with him. Hey, what do you think? He liked it. Said it was okay to publish it. And so those are just some of the things that we do within the community. We try to fill in some gaps, try to provide some knowledge out there where maybe there's not this coherent. I think, Nick, you were kind of alluding that earlier. There's not this coherent message. There's little islands of information, here and there. And we just kind of try to fill the gaps in and help out with that there and share information. What you guys are doing. If you have information, you share it. And that's what we're doing. Did that answer your question, Nobu?
Oh, absolutely. And
yeah, I loved it. I felt like I hit that out of the park.
I'm glad you mentioned just going the extra mile, because I want to take a second here to give a quick shout out to a guy who I know goes the extra mile working for you. Is Ty Unthank is getting married to his fiancee Christy this week. So if you're still watching, just good luck, have fun. Here's to a happy marriage, and we're really excited for you. Make the Academy experience even better. It's always a pleasure to see you, just run into you at like the NCAA umpiring convention in Pittsburgh, things like that. And Jim, I think you're really lucky to have him.
Oh man, I tell you what, I know it. And Ty has a big heart. He has a big heart for umpiring. He has a big heart for people. He's the kind of people that I really enjoy working with me and working with us. And we all sort of share that culture. We talk about it a lot. All of our staff, Sherry, Hunter, Josh. Josh has gone to umpire school a couple of times. Brandon Lawson, he went to Windelstead School. We have, I think we counted up in the office, we have about 44 years of officiating experience between all of us. I added a whole 2 to it. I didn't do that much. People always ask me, hey, you still umpire? I'm like, no, there's no way I can still umpire. There's too much work to do. There's too much. There's no way I have time. I spend so much time on this business, and the way we look at it is, sometimes people kind of they kind of maybe don't respect me sometimes as much because I only have 2 years experience. But the way I look at it is, if you've got an army, you've got a group of soldiers, you've got to have somebody supplying the uniforms. You got to have somebody, the quartermaster or the supply sergeant or whatever. You got to have somebody who knows what they're doing in there while you guys do the hard work. And I know you guys do the hard work. Jacob, I know you because you're the best one of all these guys here. I know you said it. You said it here. You heard it on Young Guns tonight on this Tuesday here in June, man. I heard it. So
Hey, you heard it here first.
You guys do all the hard work, but I will say this: the kind of work we do at the office, it's hard. We do a lot of work. We work a lot of long hours. We always have this heart for getting all the orders out. If we say we're going to get it out today, we get it out today. I think you all know that. And sometimes it takes a lot of work to do that. It takes a lot of hustling. It takes a lot of staying late. A lot of times we'll have to go to the USPS, distribution center afterwards and drive things there. But we just have that, sort of heart for things. And we work on the weekends a lot of times. I know Josh Mann, who's in our marketing department. I mean, when you run a website and he's the website content manager, if something happens on the weekend, he's got to take care of that. So we put a lot of work in. So just because we don't umpire, I say we don't umpire, Ty definitely, he's crushed, by the way, just like everybody else. He had a really good season schedule. He's been trying to break into college umpiring or break into higher college level umpiring. He had some good weekends. And so he was really disappointed. But, you're right. He's getting married this weekend. It's our first marriage at the office, right? We have a couple that met at the office. Ty was working there. My cousin, I hired her and they met, they started dating, and they wouldn't tell me that they were dating because they thought maybe I might get mad. But come on, look at me. I don't get mad. I'm not a mad person. And so next thing you know, they're getting serious, and I do find out about it. And I was very happy for them. And next thing you know, Ty's popped the question. So we've got our first marriage this weekend at umpattire.com. And we just can't be more excited for Ty and Chrissy and want to give them a big shout out there. But no, there's put a lot of work in, guys in the back, Andrew, Austin, John, got a few people we still got furloughed right now from some of the stuff that's going on. Nathan, Hannah, I want to give a little shout out to those guys. Hope I haven't missed anybody. But I appreciate you bringing Ty up there and making me realize, got to mention everybody at the office. Hunter, hopefully I missed Hunter too. Hunter's a great guy. He's a former basketball guy. He's one of our 2 basketball officials we have there. So we've got basketball, football, and baseball covered there with guys that have experience. Either they have before or they still are. So that's that.
Absolutely.
What else?
On the next episode of Off the Plate, presented by Young Gun Umpires, we will be joined by a former Major League call-up umpire and current ACC and SEC umpire, Jeff Gosney, on the show. Our theme for the episode will be umpiring in the 21st century as we discuss replay, mechanics changes, virtual learning, and more, tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Again, Jeff Gosney tomorrow on Off the Plate at 7 Eastern. We hope to see you all there. Jim, you've been incredibly generous with your time. It was an absolute pleasure to just sit down for a while, talk some shop with you. And yeah, I hope we are able to get a good message out tonight.
No, guys, it was great. Thank you for having me on. I know I got to know you guys better tonight, and I really enjoyed it. You guys are all likable people, motivated. Why would someone else not want to watch you guys? And hopefully, if I got to learn a little about you tonight and get to know you better, hopefully everyone watching did too, and they're all the better for it.
For those watching, thank you for watching. Make sure to like, share the page, share the video, and until next time, happy umpiring.